By the way, from the previous presentation, I think the Q&A was definitely the best part. So, not because of the content, because of the interaction. So please, if you want to ask anything during our presentation, go ahead. While we were preparing the talk with Kfir, there is one number that really made me think. There is 8.2 million inhabitants in Israel, and probably next week or the week after, they will reach the 100 unicorns. We are 45 million in Spain, and we have 9 unicorns. So I think we can learn a lot from Kfir and the Israeli ecosystem. Now, I moved to Spain in 2004, and I remember that one of the things that I did when I arrived, not because I was really interested in the topic, but because I came to Spain to do my MBA, I looked at the IBEX 35 to see what kind of companies are the most important listed companies in Spain 18 years ago. And you do that and you compare it to today, it's exactly the same. Well, no, Zara came in. That's why we need to sacudir el ecosistema empresarial. All right, so this is what we want to discuss with Kfir. Before we do that, let's introduce ourselves quickly. Kfir, who are you? What are you doing? Why are we talking, you and I, today?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. It's absolutely awesome to be here. So I'll do it very, very brief. I grew up as a nerd, like computers back in the 90s, building them, coding, hacking, and then went on a law career after the military, and then decided it's boring to be a lawyer, so I became a venture capitalist in 2017. Luckily for me, I started in our crowd, which I don't know if you know, it's a behemoth of venture capital in the Israeli ecosystem. It was really like the best boot camp you can think about for venture capital investments. Fast forward, I established my first fund. I left it after a year and a half, and now I've established my first fund, my second fund. So a thing you need to know about me, I give a lot of analogies while I speak. I grew up playing basketball, so it's mainly from the basketball world. And the name of my new fund is 91 Ventures. And if you know basketball, 91 is the jersey number of Dennis Rodman, who's the craziest person out there. And that's the kind of entrepreneurs I look for. I invest super early. I'm a small fund, so early stage. But I invest in the outliers. I invest in the crazy entrepreneurs, the crazy ideas, the crazy markets. I try not to play in the mainstream areas. Yeah, so that's about me.
Thank you, Kfir. I'm trying to have that here, so we'll see if we manage to do that. So I'm Mathieu Carenzo. As I said, I moved to Spain 18 years ago. I've spent my life in 2 different ways. First, I teach entrepreneurship and how to invest in startups in IESE Business School. Cool, great, thank you guys. This is what I do in the morning, and then in the afternoon I invest in startups. I started to invest in startups as a business angel, around like 15 years ago. Then I launched a VC fund, didn't like it, and came back to business angel. And maybe if you have time, I can explain why. I'm a good business angel, but I'm not a good VC GP. Now, I think we can start with the current VC situation, which is in line with the previous presentation. And those are basically the numbers. It ends at the end of first trimester 2022. What's your take on that, Kfir? What is it that you want to share with us in terms of analysis of what is going on at a global scale, but also in the Israeli ecosystem?
Yeah, I think, we all see it. It happened around the middle half of 2022 when it became very obvious that we are in a crisis. This crisis trickled down from the highest levels of capital. You see the public markets, how they're acting. You see that on the corporate side, on corporate debt is at unprecedented highs. yet interest rates are raising every day, literally yesterday. So corporates have less money to invest in technology and new products, and that trickles down on an industry that is the main fire or the main fuel for it is high growth and building new stuff and selling them rapidly. So we have seen it. We have seen it also in Israel. There has been a massive decline in the money invested in Israel. However, when it comes to early stage investments, the seed, pre-seeds, we have seen a steady growth again. But according, at least to the data I have, usually the early stage lags about 18 months after the growth stage. So we expect that growth has suffered the crisis somewhere around May this year. So the early stage investments in Israel, because I'm talking about our ecosystem, will experience the full blow of the crisis somewhere in the middle of 2023. And it's really interesting. I don't know if you read the news. A lot of the massive funds, where Liron said the crossover funds that came into Israel in the last couple of years are now pulling back from the ecosystem. I think it's awesome. I think a lot of it was a rush to play a game that does not depend on fundamentals. Remember, I love basketball, and fundamentals is very, very important. And I think it's healthy. I think a lot of funds and a lot of entrepreneurs are going to suffer, which is just inevitable. But it's a good correction to the market in general, and we're already seeing it. We're seeing it with entrepreneurs coming over to pitch companies and are starting the talks about valuations and sizes of rounds in a more sane scenario. So yeah, that's what we experience.
All right. I'm going to give you my... And I had a talk with David. He asked me to be provocative, so let's be provocative. So first, why don't we just focus on the red line instead of the whole big, huge growth and then the consecutive fall down? I think that what's going on just right now, it's a big downturn, but it happened before. It's just a cycle. And this cycle is fueled always by what I call unusual suspects. What I mean is, Kfir and I, we were investing 1 year ago, we're investing now, and we'll invest next year, because we are in the early stage scene. The players that changed that game, specifically last year, 2021, being the best year ever in this investment and private investments. By the way, 2022 is the second best year ever. So let's be a little careful with that, all right? 2022 is going to be better than 2020. So, and then why is that? Of course, interest rates. Of course, all what we've discussed in your great previous presentation. But if you try to understand why we had this huge amount of inflow of money, I think there are three players that are just trying to take advantage of the current economic situation, but they're not very convinced. Those names are private equity, corporate venture capital, and family offices. Those are the players that changed the whole landscape and poured the money in a market where I'm not used to be part of. So let's go first with private equity and the crossover funds. Basically, they've seen a window of opportunity. They've seen returns, very high returns in the VC market, which they don't know. And the big mistake here from the private equities is that it's a mistake between a business of average return with a market of quartile or fund-by-fund return. You can have a private equity, invest in listed companies and bonds, and you will do a promise to your LPs that you will get 6, 8, 10, 12% return. That makes sense. It works. If you're going to VCs, it's not like a fund as an average return. You have the top 20% that will probably give you back 2, 3 times your money. The rest of them probably won't give it. Maybe less than 50% won't give the money back. So there is one thing, which is the management of knowledge versus the management of uncertainty. And as it was very well explained before, you have to have an exposure limited to a private market that you don't know. And this is a big issue. And this is why, boom, private equity are not investing as much as they used to, and you will see capital calls not being fulfilled in the following months. There is also something, but that's just between you and I. Good friend in Paris, he has a crossover fund. So assume a private equity, they have like, I don't know, 3 billion under assets management. They say, hey, let's try this VC stuff. And they take 200 million, which don't even represent 10% of their asset under management. Who do you think they're going to put to manage those 200 millions? The best of the bests or the cheapest ones? So there is also a problem of talent that is dedicated in the private equity world, in the VC environment. And then they come with 200 millions, and in Spain, you know how difficult it is to raise a VC fund of 50 or 80 millions. So those players will not invest as much as they were planning to do, and when we discuss dry powder, the numbers we see will not be the money they will invest. They will be missed on capital calls. That's that private equity. Second, CVCs, corporate venture capitals. In the same line of private equity, they manage knowledge. They don't manage uncertainty. So when things are going bad and you are at the board level, the CFO says, hey guys, what's going on here with those investments we've made in startups? Well, you know, we don't really know, we don't have data. And by the way, dividends are going down. So what we're going to do is that this money we were planning to invest in innovation, we'll put it to our shareholders. Boom, going down. And then family office, I think there is this misunderstanding. Family office are organizations that are built to keep the value created by the family through their companies and make them grow in a conservative way. So when you have other alternative opportunities, you will take those, and you are paid to do that as a manager of a family office. You won't take some high risk on VCs. So suddenly, in 6 months, all those extra players that are above that red line, they disappeared. But you know what? That's okay. We are still here. This is what we do. We don't come and leave. We're doing that all the time. So, again, just to close on that point, and then we try to open to Q&A, if that works. If not, we have other stuff to share. Let's focus on the red line. Let's not focus on the ups and downs of usual suspects. You know what? They'll come back. They'll come back in 2 to 3 years. No problem. It happened already. Since I started to invest, this is the 3rd time we're seeing that. Okay, so I hope I was like, I would say that, aggressive enough.
Yeah, I just want to maybe add that, like, as a message to everybody here, the investors, the startups, it's going to take a few years, about 2 until or 18 months until the market comes back to itself. But hey, like, look at this graph, look at the NASDAQ that Liron showed. It has been, in the last 15 years, we haven't experienced such a downturn in technology. And if there is something that I feel very comfortable betting on, is technology, right? Nobody expects that in the future technology will stop and we'll be good with what we have right now. And the market has gone very, very down. We don't know when it's going to hit bottom, so don't try to time the market. But now every growth in this upline or incline that we're going to see in the market is just going to be way bigger than we have experienced in the last 15 years. And this is a great opportunity. Yeah, don't invest rapidly or be cautious. You have to remember that venture capital is a profession, although a lot of people mock it. And I think that's basically what you say about private equity, CVCs. They do not know how to do the venture capital game. They're not rooted with the entrepreneurs. They're not rooted with the incubators. They don't have their friends in the multinational corporations they can do validation with. It's a different kind of ballpark, all right? So I'm, of course, very optimistic, right? Or else I wouldn't have a fund. I might go back to law. But in general, we are now seeing a correction in a market that we haven't seen in the last 15 years. And I mean, that's an amazing time to, if you have, to even increase your exposure into venture capital and and the prices are lower now, the valuations are saner, and the cost of talent, the cost of all the cogs of a business are going down. Even the cloud, the AWSs, they're going to give you discounts on your cloud consumption. So it's just a great time to take advantage of this crisis.
Yep.
So feeding on what you said.
No, Kfir, I agree. And then you just, made me think of two things. First, we don't exit now. I mean, we don't make our money now. We are investing now. We'll do our exit in 3, 4, 5 years. The cycle won't be as down as it is today. So there's this kind of, sometimes this misunderstanding between where and how we make money investing in startups and the current situation. We will spend our money now and get it in 45 years. So that's the first. And second, the logic here is to invest in companies that make sense, that have a potential intrinsic value, economical sustainability at some point. And these companies will succeed. And as a consequence, as investors, we will make money. Now, we can be lucky and do the exit like, top of 2021. But that's luck. We don't control that. Now, if we exit in 3 to 4 years in companies that are economically sustainable and make sense, if we are at the top of the wave, we'll multiply it by 20. And if we are at the bottom of the wave, we'll multiply by 5. Okay, let's focus on choosing well and not find excuses not to invest based on external criteria. Do we try to do the Q&A?
I think so.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, we have, 12-something minutes, so let's fire it up. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Or else we can talk about whatever.
Or I have a question for you. But
okay, so let's do our own Q&A.
All right, let's give them time.
Yeah.
The first one is the most important.
Icebreaker.
So thank you guys for the presentation. I think it was just great. My question is more practical in the sense that I wonder what are the areas that you perceive are going to be boiling in 2023? Where will money go to? Because actually investors, you will find it more attractive to put the money there. Just that for the moment. Thank you.
You take that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, right, in the short term. So yesterday, if you've heard Adiv, my friend, and he was speaking about very long term, like health and education and stuff. If we're thinking about short term, then everything that comes down to the bottom line of the business, so cost reduction, cloud infrastructure of technology to make it cheaper, a lot of stuff in the talent acquisition, HR tech is going to be very important now. I'm excited about stuff coming from the generative AI innovations. You can take them, and I see a lot of companies now taking into the worlds of customer success, which is it's something very important to talk about because in the past years it's been all about rapid growth, right? Go get new clients, go push the wall. But now, as clients are gonna become more scared to buy new products, every company, especially the growth startups or even bigger companies, will have to preserve and upsell on the clients they've already put their hands on. So how does startups help them perfect their playbooks, perfect their journeys, know what their customers are feeling and their sentiments and how and when and what time to sell them and what features are need to be produced into the product. All of this can be easily done with technology today. We have the NLPs, the NLP algorithms, the GPTs, all the amazing stuff that are coming from OpenAI and all AI 21, great companies out there. So in the short term, I'm very bullish about companies that help reduce costs for operations.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, thank you.
No, I wouldn't add anything better. So.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. My question is about the blockchain technology. How is going the investment in terms of how companies see this technology? I mean, not companies, I mean venture capitals or business angels. And how Israel is playing with this technology in the startup ecosystem?
Yeah, for us, yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I think for us, there was definitely, I mean, as early as 2017, I remember the meetups around crypto, blockchain, and whenever Mark Zuckerberg said the word metaverse last year, then everybody became a metaverse investor in Web 3.0. But in essence, I think you, as an investor, even as a startup builder, you need to remove the veil and look at what's really under the hood. And at the end of the day, blockchain is interesting, right? It's a new way to manage data and control, the ledging of it. But data matters. Like, what is the source of truth? Do we even know how to get the right data? What sources? Because you can feed into blockchain whatever you want, and then it will be kept, and you will have technology that helps you to authenticate that what you've inputted is correct. But the problem is not how you keep the data. The problem is how you get the data. And that's where a lot of technology is even more interesting to me, which is, how do you take unstructured data. I mean, we can go very nerdy about it, but I think the earlier part of the chain, which is getting the data, making sense of it, and then feeding it into a blockchain, that's more interesting than the blockchain itself. And eventually the blockchain, look, I was an airplane mechanic, right? So if you service an airplane, there's a database where you know what part is gonna run out of time and you need to change it. So why not all the aviation and airplane industry, why not put all of it on a blockchain? Yeah, it makes sense, but still they have to make sure that they know how to work with the data before putting it into a ledger. So it's interesting, but I am not as bullish on it as different stuff in the chain.
Well, I'll tell you what I believe startups need to understand to enter in the mindset of investors. Blockchain in itself makes sense if it's a tool to build a value proposition that is attractive for the customer. It's a tool, it's not an end. So if you have the ability to explain why blockchain or any other technology, it's the right one for that specific value proposition, and that will generate more savings in B2B or more attractive processes, then it makes sense. And because there is this return or the sustainability of return at the end of the road, which is, by the way, what Kfir and me want our buyers or the following up investors to buy from those companies, so we can exit through secondaries or IPO or whatever. So this is very important that we don't mix up value proposition, and because customers, they don't care how, they care about what. What is it that you're solving to me, for me, not how you're doing that. Now, well, if it's at the same price or it's a lower price, then I'm interested in the how. But let's not put one specific decision process which is linked to what is it that you're bringing me, how much money do I make or save, with technology, which is related in one way, but not on the specific current value proposition.
If no one else have a question, oh yeah. So
you can come sit here if you want.
Wait. We'll get back.
Okay. So my question is.
Wait. Sorry, there is a question here.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Okay. Can you hear me?
No.
Hello? No? 1, 2, 3? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Excellent. Thank you. Going back to Spain and Israel and the fundamentals, okay, for example, we as a company, when we explored from Israel, when we explored the Spanish market, we saw it as a market. When we arrived, we noticed that there's not only a market, but an economy and talent and much more to take advantage of and to leverage on in the Spanish economy. And I was wondering, that's from the point of view of the startup. I was wondering from the point of view of investors, are there similar tools or relationships that these two economies can benefit from each other on a practical level?
I mean, the fact that you are here, right? It shows how two economies can collaborate together. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you understood an opportunity and you came to pursue it, right? Then you had your own call to action and you did it. So I think another way is to, first of all, if like the Spanish ecosystem says, or even this region says, okay, we are amazing as a beta site or as a market, the go-to market, the first step in everything that is related to agriculture, food. I don't know, okay, I haven't done a microeconomical research of the region, but, and you put it on a flag, and then you communicate it to other territories in the world, let's say Israel in this case, where there's talent that is mainly about research and R&D, and then you tell them, hey, we want to be your beta site. We want to be the first plane you take when you build something and you want to show it. We want to be that, and we want to be a landing pad for you. And we have this company who's looking to talk with you, and we have this integrator that will be happy to talk to you. That's collaboration. That can happen either from the bottom up, like people like yourself, entrepreneurs who identified and go and build and push through the wall without anybody really helping them. And that's amazing, right? Because that's what you guys do. Or it can be done from the top bottom, where you have the region players, the governments, the export institutions collaborating, building plans, and investing capital in bringing people. It's not going to happen after the first trip. It's going to happen maybe after the third, where stuff going to happen. But I think the people who make the decisions need to take some entrepreneurial mindset and really put it into a executable program and see how they can help companies grow here and really make it the easiest thing to do, to come here with an agriculture company or with a logistics and supply chain solution. And I think that's a great way to collaborate.
Thank you.
Someone?
Just one more question, if I may. So this one is a little bit off topic, but I would like to know your perception about this, and it is about Meta. The other day, Mark Zuckerberg showed the results of the last exercise, and they were really frightening. Do you think that Meta, alias Facebook, will be the big failure of this decade? What is your opinion about that?
I don't want to fight with Mark Zuckerberg. I have an investor who have fighted with him and made great money from it, but I don't know the future. I think Facebook is relevant. I mean, yes, they have gotten a blow. Everything that, like the advertisement, now Apple says, you have to pay them in order to advertise through their apps, through the paying system. It will take a blow, but I think Facebook is, as an organization, very important in our world. It's way more than just Facebook, some Meta. I use Facebook, but I'm kind of like boomer generation. Instagram is popular, WhatsApp, so it's not going to go away. It's not going to be a failure. Of course, it depends when you enter the stock, but it's not a failure. Nobody can say it's a failure. Maybe the project of the metaverse, which was invested crazy, will eventually be eradicated, but trust them, they will find a way to make up to it. I myself am not a very big metaverse believer. I grew up as a gamer. Gaming has been here since I can remember myself, and metaverse, at the essence, it's the gaming community going online. So nobody really does anything new when saying the metaverse for me. But yeah, they're taking a blow right now, and I'm sure they're gonna rise up to it. They're not going anywhere.
I think small is beautiful, and I think that big companies like Facebook or Meta, they, at least it's the feeling that they're step by step losing the essence. I don't understand the mission of Meta, and I think they're going to hit strong, and they're going to survive, and it's a huge achievement. But I think they're in big trouble. But again, failure or no failure, I don't know. But I think it's going to be tough. I saw you just want to take 30 seconds, and then Kfir, you close. Just on Spain, again, we've never had such a good year, at the exception of 2021. So let's not be pessimistic, and let's realize one thing. If you look at Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Valencia, Murcia, try to find some verticals where you have Barcelona as the fourth city in entrepreneurial ecosystem in Europe, and Madrid fifth or the other way. I mean, Spain is within continental Europe, when it comes to entrepreneurship, is very attractive. All the talents in Europe they want to live in Spain, and apart from football, probably this is where we are the best. Now, we can learn from better than we are, and this is what I believe we should do.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for having me here. I saw an ecosystem that I wasn't expecting. It's really interesting. There are things are happening here. There are powers in movement. There are entrepreneurs who are building. The quality of companies that I've seen here is really good. And you can look at my LinkedIn and see the other ecosystems I visited in the past. I'm not going to mention them on stage, but I think it's really interesting what's happening here, and I'm very optimistic for the region. And thank you for having me. And I think there's good future here.
Yeah. Done?